the basic question: why do we need red light cameras? What's the
Well, many reasons. The main one of the main ones is, we work a little over 5,000 crashes a year here in Cedar Rapids. Now, a lot of those crashes are during the wintertime, obviously, when the roads are slick. I don't know, were you aware that for a week in January, for 1 week in January, we worked 200 and, I don't have it, over 200, it seems like it around 220 to 130 crashes in 1 week just on 380 and Highway 30.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that to the edit board. Yeah, that's right.
It's a ridiculous amount of crashes. And the weather can be blamed for some of it, but, I mean, come on. When the weather's that bad, drive safer. But anyway, we work about 5,000 crashes here in Cedar Rapids, and studies have shown that when you install these cameras in communities, that the crashes reduced by 20% citywide, not just at the signal intersections, at the cambered intersections. So we see this as a benefit for us to increase the safety of the traveling population. Now, clearly, the big complaint or the big concern is, well, this is just a revenue generator. Well, the reality of it is yeah, it's going to generate revenue. There's no way around that, and there's no way around me saying anything different than that. Yeah, it's going to generate revenue, but the revenue it generates, I really don't care whether it does or it doesn't. And what I said to the editorial board was, it would be great if we would put these up and the community would stand up and go, you know what, we're not going to give you any revenue off of these cameras. We're not going to give you a single dime from a red light runner or from a speeder, period. Now, you guys go find some way else to raise revenue or cut your budget. Okay. Because if that happened, that means that the amount of crashes that we work would reduce, and we'd have a safer population. And all that time that we spend working those traffic crashes, which we work for the insurance companies, we would be in the neighborhoods patrolling, out in the community, doing, preventing robberies, burglaries, and things like that, instead of working a traffic crash. It really, has no benefit to anybody but an insurance company. And one other thing that I've heard is, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just enforce red lights with police officers? Well, I've been here 10 months now, and I have seen a lot of people running red lights. If you're in a police car and you're not the first car in line at the red light, and you see somebody run a red light, there's no way, very few times, there's no way to safely be able to track that car down, because you're either going to have to cut somebody off, you're going to have to run the red light yourself, or based on how fast the traffic flows and gets out of your way, you're going to have to speed to catch the car. So in order to properly run a red light operation with people on a four-way intersection, you would have to have 5 police cars, one sitting stationary watching the light, and then one car in each direction. And then, the first one that runs the red light in one direction gets stopped. If there's another one that runs by, they don't get stopped.
Yeah, tough to catch them.
So factor, the rate of about $125 an hour per car, per officer, sitting in that red light. So 5 officers, that's $625 an hour. We're not going to get, we're not even going to recover the cost of having those 5 officers at that intersection. Factor that against red light cameras, where it doesn't cost the city a dime. The companies, whichever company we choose, the cameras are owned by them, they're maintained by them. If they break, they fix them. All we do is, they record the intersection when there are violations. Those violations get sent to a sworn police officer who says yes or no, that was a violation, and then the ticket's issued. The company, they get a fee off the ticket, basically, off per paid citation.
And you're going to have many more red light infractions due to these cameras, probably. Do you anticipate that? I mean, do you have any idea on how many?
Well, I think initially we'll probably have more. Yeah, there will be more people cited.
Just because it's so hard to enforce without the cameras.
Right.
Right.
But my hope and my goal is that they decrease. You know, the tickets decrease, the red light running decreases, and then the crashes decrease. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to, my ultimate goal is to work myself out of a job. Really, you know.
Just doing some internet research, you see all kinds of information on the internet about red light cameras, and there's been some articles. I think the Washington Post was saying that Washington D.C. has them installed or has for a long time,
Right.
and I haven't read that article yet, but I saw a reference to it that they said that it actually increased like rear-end minor crashes. I saw another story that said Council Bluffs, which has the red light cameras, the police had said that at one of the intersections where the cameras were installed, the crashes have gone up. How do you respond to people that say things like that, or that the studies are kind of mixed? I mean, why do you believe that one?
Well, a lot of that has to do with talking to just like the articles being written, and talking to the communities that have them, that love them. We've talked to Davenport; they loved them. When I was in Florida, the communities that have them, the police department loved them because they did reduce those crashes at those intersections. Now, in dealing with the rear end crashes, I've seen those studies that show that they go up at the intersections, which is, I hate to be as practical or logical as I'm trying to be. But two things with that: rear end crashes aren't as dangerous as right angle crashes. So, okay, I'll take that trade off because you have less injuries. And secondly, if people are driving safely, and if they're maintaining those distances that they're supposed to maintain that they learned in driver's education, if somebody slams on the brakes in front of them, they've got plenty of time to stop. And the whole key is we need to have people driving safer. It's the same thing as the over 200 crashes we worked the first week in January. If the roads are bad, drive safe, drive slower. And I don't know how better to explain that than I am. And I've seen some of those. I've gone on the internet too, and I've seen some of them. There's one particular article or thing where they're saying that cameras make mistakes. That the cameras make mistakes. And actually, if you look at what they're saying, it's not the camera that made the mistake. It was the officer that viewed the camera that made the mistake.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then you look at, okay, that's the same mistake, the exact same mistake an officer could make without a camera there.
Right. Yeah.
The good thing for the citizen is it's on video. So instead of it being the officer's word against the citizen in court, when the citizen's going, look, I didn't run it.
Yeah.
Now they got a video that shows, hey, I didn't run it. The officer made a mistake. So actually, if you look at it in that line, which is a different way of looking at it, it's a benefit. But I remember one specific one where, and you may have seen this, where two cars are going through the red light, and the officer clearly cited the wrong car. And the citizen went, got the video, did a bunch of studies, presented to court, and he was found not guilty, or they dismissed a ticket. But if an officer was sitting there, he could have easily made the same mistake.
Right. Yeah.
And like I said, it would have been his word against the officer's word against the citizen. No video.
Yeah. Will a red light camera ticket impact or not impact your driving record?
It will not.
Okay.
Not a red light camera not a red light ticket from the cameras. It will not.
Okay.
It's the same as a parking ticket, basically.
Okay.
It's against the car, the owner of the car. Won't go on your driving record, and it shouldn't go against your insurance either.
Talk a little bit about that. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about, hey, well, my daughter went to pick up the pizza and she ran through a red light, and now Dad's got to pay for it, and he didn't even run the red light.
Right.
I mean, there's
be careful who you loan your car to. And if my daughter ran a red light, and she will, by the way, I'm sure, and she's driving my car and runs a red light, whether I end up writing the check or she pays me back or she writes the check, that's the way it's going to be.